Thanks for checking out the Locked On NFL podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe for great daily content. Now throughout the offseason, we've provided it through the playoffs and the Super Bowl. But the offseason, this is where you're going to find great, incredible insight about all 32 NFL organizations. But let's break down the big game, the big win, 23-20. Los Angeles Rams rally past the Cincinnati Bengals. Travis Rodgers, Locked On Rams, joins us here. And, Travis, the Rams offense went pretty silent after Odell Beckham Jr. left with a non-contact injury to his leg. They were held to a field goal in the second half until that go-ahead scoring drive to end things. I didn't know OBJ was that important to this offense. How'd they finally overcome it?
I think they finally overcame it by just throwing the entire game plan out the window and saying, keep throwing it to number 10 over and over and over and over and over again. That was kind of the game plan. OBJ obviously is very important to what they do. They were already a little shorthanded without Tyler Higbee for the last couple of games. So really a lot of the offense went to Cooper Kupp and a lot of it went to Odell Beckham Jr. And those were the two guys that you really had to kind of keep your eyes on if you were playing against the Rams from on the offensive side. So when all of a sudden, when OBJ goes down towards the end of the second quarter, I was very curious to see what was going to happen because Kendall Blanton had really had nothing going all night long. And now all of a sudden, Van Jefferson had really not had much going all night long. A little bit disappointed in the way that he contributed in the second half. But they just kind of threw that game plan out the window. And all of a sudden, Cooper Kupp was the reason he was the offensive player of the year, the reason he was the Triple Crown winner. Everybody in that building, Bo, knew the ball was going to Cooper Kupp, and they ran it 4 times in a row right to him. And it worked. It was extraordinary.
Yeah, it worked all season long. Triple Crown winner, as you mentioned, in the all receiving categories. The offense gets it done at the end of the game, but at what point did Raheem Morris's defense flip the switch and take this game over? Because they needed to. I mean,
Yes.
Any points on the board, this game's probably going in the favor of the Cincinnati Bengals. Where did you see this game turn, at least on the defensive side for the Rams?
I think that Aaron Donald really started to get going towards the end of the first half. They finally got their first sack towards the end of the first half. And then in the second half, especially after they hit that quick touchdown right out of the gate, and it felt like, okay, to your point, the defense is going to have to dig in a little bit here because the offense really wasn't doing much. And then we saw Joe Burrow running towards the left side, and Aaron Donald's a little faster than Joe Burrow and beat him to the spot and gave him a two-handed shove, a good hard shove, clean inbounds. And it kind of, he gets knocked down by that big Burrow, and then we saw some little pushing and shoving along the way. And Aaron Donald does not like to be pushed around. We've seen this in his career. Not only is he an unbelievable football player, but he's not playing. He will mix it up with people. So when that happened, it really did feel like he and the rest of the guys in the defense kind of said, oh, okay, this is how we're going to do this. And he just went to a totally different level, and we saw how he ended the game.
I mean, what's left to say about AD at this point? Complete game wrecker. He won the game outright. The final 2 offensive plays, they try to run it into the teeth of 99. He shuts it down. And then the final play, he's making Joe Burrow. I don't know if Burrow got that pass off, but there's Aaron Donald. 2 sacks to his credit. Was Cooper Kupp really the most valuable player in last night's game?
I think they really could have taken Kupp or Donald. I think both of them would have been great choices. And honestly, I think Matthew Stafford, was another guy that probably now with a couple of interceptions probably wasn't going to win the award, but I thought that he was incredibly valuable as well. But yeah, I think if they'd given it to 99, I don't think anybody would have felt like it was a bad choice. Cooper Kupp was extraordinary in the fourth quarter, but it really is remarkable that this was the story. You go back to about a year ago, the Rams losing the divisional round to the Green Bay Packers, and they made a decision, we're not good enough at quarterback. And they knew they had a dynamic wide receiver. They knew they had a generational talent at defensive tackle in Aaron Donald, a guy that's going to walk right into the Hall of Fame. And those are the 3 guys that won the game for him tonight. The guy that they traded for, the guy that they already had as a wide receiver, and the guy that they already had as a defensive tackle. And those 3 guys won the game for him at the end. That was the plan 9, 10, 12 months ago, and the plan worked to perfection, at least at the very end of the game tonight.
Just curiosity, have we heard from Jalen Ramsey? Probably not the performance that he envisioned, the big touchdown to start the second half. There was a big play in the first half that was made by Jamar Chase. How did he feel about his performance? Any word from Ramsey?
Yeah, I haven't heard him speak quite yet. So it was not his best game. Like you mentioned,
Yeah.
he had a couple of big plays. The one to Higgins that goes for the touchdown. I think when you got to see it from the other angle, you got to see his
Yeah.
face, man. But that happens. That's one of those things. You could see the official right behind him. He was kind of blocked out. The officials are taught not to guess at what they're seeing, but I do think that had a lot to do with it. But I think you're right. I don't think it was his best game. I think that he would probably tell you the same thing. And that's kind of what it takes, right? That sometimes even your very best guys might not be quite at their very best, but somebody else needs to step in. And Von Miller was great. Aaron Donald, forget about it. And, Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford, when that last drive, 6.5 minutes to go,
Mhm.
that's why he was here. That's why they went out and got him, to find a way to be behind, to make some throws, to not have to have everything be perfect. And it worked
Mhm.
out perfectly.
Yeah, and Sean McVay said after the game, he's a gold jacket guy. That debate will continue. But look, the all-in play worked, Travis. Stafford, the right call. Von Miller up midseason. What's the next play for this Rams franchise and Sean McVay?
Well, I think they probably have to maybe think about doing some stuff on the offensive line. Andrew Whitworth is very likely done as an NFL player. They have had Joe Noteboom here in the organization for a while, and maybe he can slide over to left tackle. But he was one of these guys that gave them some depth, both at left and right tackle. He was even playing some guard at some point in the season. I think that's probably something that you look at. I think at linebacker, you had Ernest Jones, you had Troy Reader there. This is probably a little bit of an area, and then other than Jalen Ramsey, I really do think you need to look at the secondary and maybe finding some more depth there and maybe a little bit more talent. And this is something that the Rams knew that they were going to have to do. It's the best possible problem, figuring out how to get a little better after a Super Bowl championship. They don't have a ton of draft picks to do it. They sent out a couple to get Von Miller. It's this is all in. Like Les Snead said, bleep those draft picks. So now it's time to kind of figure out what's coming next. But at least for a while, it was all worth it.
It's all something to look forward to on Locked On Rams this offseason. Travis, it's been a great short time to work with you. Looking forward to in the future. What are the plans for a parade? Anything in the already set?
Wednesday. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
it's on the books. It's Wednesday. It's going to go from the Shrine Auditorium down to the Coliseum downtown, where the Rams started playing when they came back 6 years ago. It's planned. It's all set, and I can't wait to see it.